Previously on Election.
If I was elected leader, I'll give children more of a decision in the world, as they are the future.
10 of Britain's best young leaders have been put to the test.
I think that all leaders should show confidence when they're speaking.
I think I can lead a group of people without being too overpowering or bossy.
They've had to campaign against dog poo, persuade office workers to dance, and entertain a boatload of tourists.
Now you know why he's asking the questions. You can stop laughing at me.
6 survive. From now on, there'll be more fun and frolics on an emotional journey as they battle it out to prove who is the best leader.
Children have minds, and adults have to stop taking control all of the time.
The final 2 will face each other in Parliament for the chance to win a personal meeting with the Prime Minister. Series judge Jonathan Dimbleby is tough and says exactly what he thinks.
I think she led rather badly.
And each week, one of them will be sent home.
Your campaign's over.
So far, our candidates have all learnt a lot about leadership, but there's a very fine line between being a leader and being pushy.
You're gonna. Are you sure you don't want to do it?
Seriously, man, you've got to do the hula. I don't think they like it when you shove it on them.
I'll show you the beat again because we're not really getting it. I think Hazel is very overpowering at times.
Don't give up. Do not give up.
Ask her about food.
Now 6 candidates survive, and Jonathan Dimbleby will be looking for yet another leadership skill.
And in this programme, I'll be testing them on debating. Things to remember. You have to be able to make your case, handle difficult questions, and win the argument. All skills that a leader needs.
Journalists are always trying to make politicians look silly by asking them tricky questions. So we've created a test of skills to put our candidates on the spot.
Okay, so it's time for me to introduce your celebrity mentor. She is a formidable member of Parliament and renowned for giving as good as she gets in a debate. Please welcome Anne Widdecombe, MP for Maidstone and Weald.
I hope you guys are ready for a pretty fearsome experience, yeah?
Anne might look like your favourite gran, but she's famous for eating journalists alive. She's looking forward to getting her teeth stuck into our teams and will try and catch them out every step of the way.
One thing you must not do is to say yes or no. Do you like spaghetti?
It's okay.
Good. Does your mum love you?
Obviously.
Well done. That's quite easy. But when it's really coming fast and you're getting het up and you're under pressure, you might suddenly say no. Mustn't do that. If you do, you lose a point. Okay?
Journalists love finding out embarrassing things about leaders to make them squirm.
So we've been digging and investigating, and we've talked to your mums and dads. And we've been told some wonderful stories about you.
Oh, kill me now.
So,
And they'll be grilled mastermind style. First to be questioned on their specialist subject is the Green Team. Team leader Izzy boasted her sister could speak Japanese. Tudor got detention for being rude to a teacher. But Amardeep lied about breaking his sister's MP3 player.
Have you got a sister?
Ruby.
Did you tell a friend she could speak Japanese?
Yes.
Izzy. Did this girl believe you when you said your sister spoke Japanese?
No, because...
And did you ask your sister to lie too?
No.
Did you ask your sister to pretend she spoke Japanese? Are you a bit of a rowdy street hooligan?
You could say that.
Do you think you're an example to younger kids of how you behave towards teachers?
And maybe when I'm around smaller kids, I should set an example. But when I'm with my own friends, I don't think it's such a need.
So you're a hypocrite?
No, not at all.
Do you think our leaders should be hypocrites?
They shouldn't be hypocrites at all.
So, although you had broken your sister's iPod accidentally, you weren't prepared to admit it?
But have you ever broken anything accidentally?
Yes.
Amardeep's turning the tables on Anne.
And have you ever made a mistake?
Yes.
And I learned from that mistake and owned up.
Ah, but you didn't, did you?
I did.
You're saying that you compensated your sister?
Yeah.
That your sister was happy?
My sister was happy.
So you accidentally broke something, but were afraid to say so, which seems to me a bit odd.
Then I learned from my mistake and owned up. It might have took a bit of pressure, but in the end, at least I owned up. And was willing to pay half towards it. And did pay half.
Your time is up. You stuck to your story extremely well. You turned the tables on me by doing a bit of rhetorical questioning. I thought that was a pretty good show.
The Greens made 5 mistakes. Can the Purples do any better? Quincy begged his parents to take him to Tunisia just so he could ride a camel. Hazel buys her teachers birthday cards. But team leader Jack forged his parents' signatures on his school planner.
Would you say you're the sort of man who always knows what he wants?
I would say that.
Did you ever want to ride a camel? Didn't you beg your parents to take you to the Sahara so that you could ride a camel?
I did, but my sister rode it instead.
So you were a real scaredy socks, weren't you? You were scared.
I wasn't.
You shouted, no, no, no!
I didn't. I was a man.
So, Hazel, tell me, do you remember all your teachers' birthdays?
I do.
Do you know your friends think that you're just sucking up to the teachers?
Well, I think that some of my friends could possibly think that, but I think it is a nice gesture.
What do the teachers say when you send them cards?
They say thank you.
Do they say it in front of the class?
They do.
Do you get embarrassed or do you feel smug?
I do not get embarrassed, and
You do feel smug?
I don't feel smug.
Tell me, because I don't really understand these things, what's a school planner?
A school planner is where you write down your homework and detentions.
And who signs this planner?
My parents.
Your parents sign the planner. Have they always signed your planner?
Sometimes.
Have they always signed your planner?
Okay, one time I did it for them.
One time?
Okay, maybe not one time. I admit I did it lots of times.
So you lied and you cheated. Why?
Well, I wouldn't class myself as a liar.
So you didn't lie. So when you said Dad signed it and he hadn't signed it, wasn't that a lie?
I was telling a white lie. It was a good lie for the better.
The fact is, you lied because neither parent had signed the planner. What were you trying to hide?
Because maybe I had a few things in there that I didn't want everyone to see.
Your time is up. But oh, what a muddle. First of all, you didn't lie, then it was a lie, but it was a white lie. It was to the benefit. Whose benefit? Your benefit. Any leader who'd got himself into that sort of muddle would have had a big problem. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Despite Jack's mess up, the Purple team didn't say a single yes or no and have won the test of skills.
Yeah, man. When you're under difficult questioning, you've really got to decide what you're going to do. The obvious thing, of course, is to tell the truth. Sometimes people think they've got to spin their way out of absolutely every last thing, but you start spinning, and unless you're very clever, you will go into a flat spin. But you really did fantastically well, so good, well done.
So, we know they can dodge tough questions on detentions and camels, but can they handle something controversial? A controversial issue makes adults take sides and gets their knickers in a twist.
So we've got a lovely man here. This is Simon Morris. He's come in to tell us about this baby. What's the matter?
Well,
I can't hear when you get older.
Their ears are hurting because they've been forced to listen to the high-pitched squeal of the controversial mosquito. It's an anti-kid device that only young people can hear. Some shopkeepers use it to drive troublemaking teenagers away.
Police have very little powers they can do. They come and move them on. As soon as the police go, the kids are back again. The shopkeepers can't do anything about it. This is passive. The shopkeeper turns it on when there's a gang there that are causing problems, and it solves the problem without any confrontation.
OK, well, the reason why Simon's coming to tell us about the mosquito is because tomorrow you are going to be...
The teams will be interviewed by a professional journalist, and Jack's team have to argue the mosquito's good, whilst Izzy's team will argue it's a bad thing. So they take to the streets to ask the public what they think.
The thing is, because Jack...
But team leader Jack's got two very strong teammates to control, and he wants to make sure they know who's in charge.
You start talking about it and I can't get my stuff out. I need to ask
It's not just me that's
I know, it's both of you.
Okay, so will you go...
You don't have to walk behind me, you can walk next to me. I'm just saying that... Is everyone alright with that, yeah? Do you think it's a good idea to have in a shop?
Yeah, it's good if they've got kids who are really not behaving well. I think it's quite good for that.
Why do you think it's a good idea?
Because certain places where people hang around who are not wanted, they can always move somewhere else.
I don't think it's a good idea on principle that you're differentiating against, because if you're differentiating on age, why not differentiate on colour or differentiate on any other perspective? So I just disagree on principle.
The strongest arguments are mosquitoes are good because they get rid of gangs without a fight and they save police time. Mosquitoes are bad because it's unfair and against kids' rights, since not all kids are troublemakers, and it doesn't solve the problem. The gangs just move to another shop.
Gotta say, both teams have done a really good job today. They've been rushing around, gathering information and forming their arguments. Now, tomorrow is a big day for all of them. They think they're going to be interviewed by some ordinary journalists. Oh no, that would be too easy. What they don't know is that we set up their very own special version of the BBC's flagship current affairs show, Newsnight. It's the morning of the big debate. The boys don't even know where they're going, but they're determined to look fabulous. Between the hairspray and makeup, they're also swatting up on mosquito facts. But Izzy's struggling to keep her team away from the mirror.
Judah, what order are you going to have this, like, on the floor and stuff? It's a bit of a mess right now.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Why not order it or something, yeah? We might as well be prepared, because believe me, that's what the other team will be doing. Hazel, she's like a control freak, man.
Yeah, that's a good point, okay.
Don't let them put you in your place.
Yeah,
if they say something, immediately go against them.
And also, remember what Anne told us, like, if you're doing a debate, make sure, like, you tell the truth.
Yeah.
Because you can spin out of control.
The teams will be interviewed by a journalist, but have no idea where it's taking place. What they do know is by the end of the day, one of them will be eliminated.
I've got all the facts here that we wrote down, and so I'm just trying to remember them, to be honest. Because they're like the main points that we want to put in. At least we've got a little...
mascot.
Yeah.
Bingo. Yeah.
Although it does say take me home, so, you know, it rather implies that we're going home. But I'm not going to say anything now because they can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. We heard every word you said, Izzy.
Yeah.
You know how we do. You know how we do.
Ooh, the rivalry's hotting up, but it's still all a mystery where they're going. Until...
Is that where we're going?
I need to wait.
Oh, is that it?
Ben, you'll be going on the news. I go on the news looking like this.
Yes, it's the BBC.
Welcome backstage to BBC Television Centre. How does it feel?
Great.
Exciting? Yeah. Now, yesterday I told you were going to be interviewed by a journalist. What I can tell you now is that you're going to be interviewed on the BBC's biggest politics show, Newsnight, by Emily Maitlis. Two members of your team will be on set in the firing line. The other member of your team will be backstage in the gallery, feeding information to those two team members and giving them the facts they need through an earpiece. Now, normally a politician wouldn't have the luxury of having information fed to them. But you have this advantage and you need to use it wisely.
Newsnight is a live television programme where political leaders get a grilling by Britain's top journalists.
Jack, can you hear me? Is he?
Up in the control room, Quincy and Tudor will feed facts to their teammates.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is he? Not if you can hear me.
But for those on the studio floor, being able to talk as well as listen through their earpiece will be very hard.
Look at me on the TV.
Once again, the man they'll all have to impress, series judge Jonathan Dimbleby, will be watching out for any signs of weakness.
I need to stick to our point. We've got the facts. We've got a very strong argument. We've got a very strong argument, and we can do this.
We need to make sure that we don't sound like we're competing against each other, because we're competing against the interviewer.
Just say words.
That's what I'm going to say, like...
Say, like, main points. Don't babble on.
Please, for example, please.
Yeah.
It's up to him to decide which member of the losing team will be eliminated.
Okay, Amadou, say this pass on.
There's now just seconds to go before their very own Newsnight debate.
10 seconds. Titles off line D.
To win the debate, they'll have to remember their arguments and get their points across in a calm and professional way.
Running time.
Hello, good evening. Tonight we'll be discussing the controversial teen deterrent, the mosquito. It's been designed to deal with problems of antisocial behaviour and vandalism that can arise when young people congregate outside shops, schools or railway stations. Well, joining me now are Amadip and Izzy against the device and Hazel and Jack in favour of the mosquito. Hazel and Jack, why would you introduce a device that penalises every child, every baby that comes near it?
Well, basically, the device will be fitted above, and it'll only be played if there's going to be people messing around.
With the debate underway, how well will the teams respond to their fact-checkers' advice?
This is the mosquito sitting right here in front of me. Your target age, you two. Hazel, you must have heard this mosquito before. How did it make you feel? Did it make you want to join a youth club?
Well, it was quite an annoying noise, and it certainly wouldn't make me stand outside a shop for much longer.
Only the ones that are misbehaving causing antisocial.
If they were misbehaving and causing antisocial behaviour, then I think that they deserve to be punished in this way.
It's a good start for the Purples. Hazel managed to pick up on Quincy's points. Can the Green team do as well?
This device, as you've heard, is both safe, legal, the manufacturers tell us. What's to stop them selling it? Amelie, you're shaking your head.
Government. Well, it's a very important thing that the government fund in things that are special. The government obviously haven't used it. They haven't paid for it to give to all the shops. So why is it that we should believe in it if the government aren't?
Right. So your argument, then, is just that it doesn't work properly?
Our argument, Emily, is that not only does it not work properly, the fact that it's not going to make a huge difference. Shopkeepers put it in...
Amadip's trying his trick of turning the tables on Emily, but she's used to taking no nonsense.
The Co-op has said it's made an extra £3,000 in the first week of installing the mosquito.
Just move somewhere else.
Because people are no longer scared away from their premises. Isn't that a big step up?
Not particularly, because only 8,000 of these mosquitoes have been sold.
The pressure's mounting and Amadip's not listening to Tudor.
Millions of people buy MP3 players and stuff, and if your ears are already damaged from listening to them, how are they going to be that you probably won't be able to listen to the mosquito anyway?
It looks like Tudor's talking to thin air, and Amadip's arguments are just muddled.
This mosquito is just driving people underground to places that you don't know about.
There aren't any other solutions.
I don't think there are actually any other solutions. I mean, we need to take action now. This is a step forward. We have crime in Britain which is not getting any better by the day. So
the Purple team system is working like a dream, but can they win the debate?
You're getting rid of the mosquito. What are you putting in its place?
Again, police presence. And you can say that people want to use the mosquito and it's making people feel safe, but
police presence.
The point is, children shouldn't be on the streets in the first place with nothing to do.
In trouble.
Cost too much.
It will cost far too much. £500 per mosquito. Imagine what that will do.
That will cost a lot more than youth groups and youth classes.
Yeah, why don't you just do that? And then it's tackling the root cause instead of just trying to prevent.
Wow, the argument's really hotting up. But time's running out to get those vital final points across.
Children aren't pests. Children aren't dogs. Children have minds. And adults can't have to stop taking control all of the time. The matter is, Hazel, that children, on a whole, aren't all bad.
If people have antisocial behaviour, then they deserve to be punished.
It's violating your human right.
It's a hassle-free step forward.
Okay. Thank you all very much indeed.
Violating people's cuddles.
And that's all from the Mosquito Newsnight.
The debate's over and it's time for the candidates to reflect on their performances.
Thank you very much. Thank you so that you were well done. Thank you.
Guys. When we were given the facts and Quincy was given his facts, it was a bit complicated because it's hard to take it in while you're arguing at the same time.
Both of you stuck to your point, and when I was speaking to you, you didn't show that you were listening. It looked more natural. And
we didn't get at up like Amadip did. He sort of like...
He was getting angry.
He was
He was
passionate, but he kept going...
But they're not deciding. The studio crew are.
If you thought the Green Team were more convincing in their argument against the mosquito, please show your hands.
Let's have some hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hands up.
If
Now
you thought the
we have
Purple Team were more convincing in their argument for the mosquito, please show your hands.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just there to the purple team.
And it's victory for Jack's purple team, who goes straight to mix with the stars at Madame Tussauds.
There's one of you in the best.
But for Izzy's team, it's time to face the elimination.
I'm really scared because Jonathan is so scary. It's like... I'm just dreading it, to be honest.
Well, it's my 3rd time now, so anxious, yeah. Like, you sort of know what to expect, but you don't know what Jonathan's going to say to you.
Facing Jonathan Dimbleby once again, 3rd time. But, yeah, hopefully I'll do well.
First thing is, it was very close. Second thing is, you know how absolutely vital it is, if you're going to be a leader in public life, to be able to perform in a television studio, to stand up to an interview, to say what you want to say in a way that will persuade the viewer. So, team leader, Izzy, why do you think they got it and your team didn't?
Well, I know that me and Amadip had worked out this method so we wouldn't talk at the same time, but it didn't work, so we were like, we both wanted to say the same thing at once, so we were waiting for the other person to say it.
Judah was very good at the way he was telling us to say things, but we didn't know who was supposed to say it.
That means that the two of you couldn't adapt to an unexpected situation quite well enough, doesn't it? Tudor, do you think you got it wrong at all?
No, because we all agreed that I would just say short, snappy things, and I did that, and I don't think I could have done any more.
Tudor, I actually thought that you did well in the succinct way in which you said, raise this issue and raise that issue.
Thank you.
There was one issue that you did raise, which was important, the police presence.
Mm.
And you said it 2 or 3 times at a key moment in the interview.
Mm.
Neither of you picked up on that.
It's quite complicated trying to, like, because you're listening to something, I'm not, like, saying that, but you're trying to follow the conversation because you don't just want to drop things in that are completely, you know, not relevant. Yeah. So we're trying to follow it and trying to argue our case.
I don't think that the reason why you lost it today was because of the fact that Tudor, you think, didn't deliver as you would like to have done it. It was down, to in the end, to the performance of you two as leaders. Tudor, you're safe, so you can leave. Good luck. Good luck. Amadip, I don't think you marshalled your arguments very well. I think you were sometimes quite muddled. You hadn't worked out which were the most important points and what was the best order to put them in. What was the strongest point you had on your side?
My strongest point was probably that it's more expensive to advertise and stuff for it than to have youth camps and stuff.
You see, a leader who's really thought it through, and you should have done, would know that the strongest argument was not practical arguments about the cost of it, because that just suggests, well, I'd be in favour of it. if it was cheaper to have the mosquito. Your strongest argument was without doubt saying, why is this being done to kids? Kids have rights too. But you didn't bring that in until the very end.
We didn't mention it as such because we did
You
actually...
didn't mention your strongest argument, is it? As it happens, I thought you led quite well what I saw. And I think in the studio, you were calm, you were measured, and I've seen you improving a lot. Amadee, I know that you did a very good job in the preparation of this as well. But it is, in this test of leadership, it is the skill in delivering, in persuading the viewer that you're in command of your information and that you can be trusted by the viewer to carry out whatever the policy is. I'd like to be able to keep you both, to be honest, for longer. But, Amadee, your campaign's over.
I think that was the wrong decision, personally. I don't think I should have gone just yet.
You are not making the decisions, Amadee.
I understand that, but I think I showed more leadership skills than Izzy did, and I think I tried my best and gave it 110%.
There's another test of leadership, and I think you've got a lot of leadership potential in you, and that's you take a decision that you don't like and you live with it. Okay? You can both go. Amadee's really good, you know, he's a really bright guy, and he's going to go a long way. He just, on this occasion, wasn't performing quite as well, and I think he contributed to losing the case.
Amadee, I'm so sorry. It's okay. I know how much it meant to you. Give me a hug. But you were truly magnificent. You were brilliant. But ultimately, you don't think you should be in this position now, do you?
I think, if I'm honest, that I don't think I should have gone, but you can't live in the past, you've got to do something about it.
Because it's hard to be thrust into an environment with different characters.
Very hard, because you're all from different places, there's friction, but we worked together and we got over that friction. And obviously there's always going to be people who don't like you and you don't like, so that's just what happens. Isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to miss you. Okay?
Yeah, I'm going to miss you too.
Well done.
Amadee's the 5th candidate to leave the election house. Next week, the Ken Livingstone Wee Wee test flushes out their campaigning skills. And it gets very messy when they have to invent a new fair trade chocolate bar.
That's disgusting.
Eventually, one of the losing team has to go.
Your campaign's over.